Hey guys, welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, Andre Seegers, and this time we're joined by Derek Bittner and Ash Paulson to discuss the Super Mario Maker Portal site. So, let's get started. Alright guys, so Nintendo talked a little bit about Mario Maker in the latest Nintendo Direct, and we didn't actually touch on that at all in our discussion. There's so much other stuff to cover, we're talking about our initial impressions from the Direct. So I thought it'd be fun to touch on it right now and dive a little bit into this Portal site. Because on the surface, I think this is awesome. Like, this is great. One of the biggest problems with Mario Maker is that it's tough finding good levels. The built-in tools aren't that great. There aren't many search parameters. You can basically only sort by like top-ranked levels, and even that isn't always a good gauge. So we end up with all those automatic levels, just like populating the charts. So we can see that on the Pearl side, you'll be able to sort levels by like game style or course theme, difficulty, or the time period they were even made in, apparently. Or even by tags, like sound effects, for instance. And then you'll be able to take those levels and send them to your Wii U. So you can browse them on the computer and then send it directly to your Wii U for play later, which I think is awesome. So what do you guys think about this? What are your impressions?
Well, I think that last part is the key. I think the fact that you can send them to your Wii U to play later is really the key part here, because all of this would honestly be worthless, in my opinion, if you couldn't, because who would want to go to a Super Mario Maker Portal site outside of the game, right, look up a course ID, and then have to,
type in the course ID?
Yeah. So, that part is key. Although, as cool as that is, that you can do that, I think I speak for a lot of people when I say that it isn't quite the solution that everyone wants, which is to have this functionality added within the game.
I do find it funny that the best solution right now is to, while you're literally in Mario Maker's course world, to hit the home button, go to the browser, go to the web portal, send those courses to your game.
Exactly. I mean, it's not a total fix. It's a temporary band-aid, but it's not exactly, this stuff needs to be added to the in-game search function, and that they may well be working on that. And I'm not going to be one of those armchair critics who's like, well, that would be easy to do, because it may not be. I mean, it may be very difficult with the way they've designed the game for them to kind of redesign the search function on the fly like that. But it still isn't an ideal solution.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, this really left no impression with me. I mean, I miss the whole fact that you can store them for later, which is a really nice function to have. It does make it all seem a little bit more worthwhile, but it's just sort of a band-aid to me. It's something to try to fix things, but it's not ideal or anything like that. And it's nice that they're working to try to fix it and make it better, but I don't know. It's just not really a concern of mine, and I think that might also be because I just haven't had a lot of time to dedicate to Super Mario Maker, so it doesn't become a high priority for me. For those people who love it, I hope this site works out for them. I hope that it fills a need that they have, but for me personally, I just have a hard time caring, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it really is kind of a stopgap solution, like we were saying. I think it'll help, but what I'm more confused by is why Nintendo didn't anticipate that people would want this in the first place. I mean, the search functions in Super Mario Maker's course world are so rudimentary, and they're so limiting. I mean, you can't even search for people on your friends list. Like, you have to be following someone already to be able to search for their levels. You can't even go to your Wii U friends list and say, I want to find all of this friends levels, which is insane to me. So, if it is too difficult for them to update that search function within the game, I understand that, but at the same time, why didn't they anticipate that people would want to be able to search by all these factors already?
I'm with you. I mean, I really think they need to just basically overhaul how the course world works. Like, even when I initially reviewed the game, I didn't mention it, but it wasn't a big point at the time. But like the course world, the whole menu system of the course world felt so dramatically different from how the rest of the game worked. I don't know. I think it just need to overhaul it completely, because even, as you mentioned, following people, it almost feels completely worthless. Like, the game doesn't give you any kind of notification when someone uploads a level, as far as I know, at least.
I don't think it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they should implement, a true timeline type system, like Facebook, basically, or like Twitter, where if someone posts a level or someone likes a level, someone you follow, someone who's already on your friend list maybe, if they do like interact with the level in some way, it should tell you that. That would give an organic way of finding new courses without having to manually search them out yourself. With that said, I do like the idea of this website. Although I did notice that it still doesn't give you a way, as far as I know, to look for levels by title. So like if I heard of a cool level, there's no way to look it up still without knowing the course ID for it, and that's still a huge problem. The course ID is such a clunky system. People have seen me like in every stream, so I have to type in the number, and sometimes I'll mistype it or I'll misread it, or someone mistyped it to me. Whereas if I just knew the course name, I could just look for that, and that would be a lot simpler ultimately.
Exactly. I mean, it almost feels like the maker part of the game and the course world part of the game were designed by two completely different teams.
I wouldn't be surprised if they were. Yeah.
It's unfortunate because there's a lot to like about playing all these different levels. It's just finding the right levels, because sometimes you don't feel like doing an automatic level. Sometimes you don't feel like having the most balls hard level that you could possibly challenge. Sometimes you're just looking for an easy time, and you never know what you're going to get when you challenge these levels, and it kind of mars the experience a bit. Which is why I'm actually grateful for the fans, because typically their levels are a lot of fun. So at least we got some creative fans.
It is interesting that I saw that they had the tag search parameter. We can choose. I mean, in the example we see sound effects, and I wonder how that's going to work. Like, is it just like are levels going to be auto tagged basically, where if you use sound effects, it'll know to look for that, or will you be able to take your own levels? But I think a tag system could actually be pretty powerful. Like if I'm making a puzzle based level, for instance, it would be awesome to tag it like that. But I don't always want to play a puzzle level, for instance.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or like if you're making what are those levels called? A Kaizo level. Like that would be a great tag to have.
That would be a great tag to have on your permanent filter outlet, because I hate those levels.
Yep.
Although that actually does remind me, Derek, you kind of touched on something I do hope they change in the future, which has nothing to do with the Portal site necessarily, but I do hope they make it so eventually that you can unlock all the amiibo costumes by just playing through on normal difficulty. Because honestly, like after you've exhausted all the amiibo costumes you can unlock, or the mystery mushroom costumes you can unlock on easy and normal, honestly, the hard difficulty level is just usually made up of a series of Kaizo Mario courses, which isn't fun at all, and it makes it almost impossible to unlock that last batch of costumes. So I do hope they see that at some point and say, you know what, this is probably a little too hard for most people to ever unlock every costume. Maybe we should just make it so you can unlock them on normal.
Yeah, I tried doing that. I tried unlocking all the costumes that way,
too.
and it just took so much time. Like, screw this.
It's not worth it.
It's not. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you. I really do hope they patch in a way of even just adding them. Like what they could have done is just add them as bonuses for the event levels they added, or the new Nintendo levels they added to the game. Like I wish there had been rewards for that, and they still could be more down the line.
Yeah.
For more Nintendo levels, but. Yeah, they should fix that. Speaking of enhancing the overall interface for the game, what I think would be great is if they added a playlist feature. Like it would be so awesome if you could set up a custom playlist that you could share in the same way as a course with its own ID. So if I found a bunch of cool levels, it'd be awesome. I could sort them together, just share that playlist with someone else, and then they can play through those same levels.
That's an excellent idea. Everybody sort of curates their own favorite levels. You find somebody that you get behind and you enjoy their opinions or taste, or it's a friend or whatever, and they have their own curation of okay, you should try these levels. Yeah, let's do that. That'd be a great way to just nice word of mouth advertising.
That's something that Sound Shapes already does. The indie game on the PS4 and Vita, they already have the idea of curation, and I think it works really well there, and I think it could work really well here.
Yeah, I think that'd be really cool. I mean, there's a lot you could do with that. For instance, we could have share a GameXplain playlist, whether it's our own levels or our user-created levels. Like, if you want to play the same levels I just played on the stream, just go to this playlist. Here you go. Here's all the levels I just played.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I really hope this is what I like about the Pearl site, is it shows Nintendo, again, recognizing issues with their software, which is awesome, and they're actively trying to fix that. So I'm hoping that they will continue that trend and keep going with this and make this even better.
Yeah.
Well, any other thoughts, guys? Any other ideas about the Portal side or other enhancements you would like to see them add to the game?
I mean, I guess just that I hope I hope they still do traditional DLC down the line, because I think that's what some people were expecting from this Nintendo Direct.
That's a great point. I meant to mention that earlier. I had predicted there would be Mario Maker DLC, and this doesn't quite fit the bill. But yeah, I thought for sure they would announce something, and I really hope there's more on the way still. And I think there is. But I am actually surprised they didn't announce it here. I thought for sure they would talk more about future plans for this game beyond the most recent update.
Well, and I think they will. I mean, it seems like it's too ripe for potential profit for them not to. I mean, they could do the free DLC route, but this seems like such an easy way for them to make a little cash by, releasing packs of additional tools. Or I think fundamental things like slopes will be added for free. But, like additional tools like the Angry Sun, for instance, could be paid DLC. Just additional tools that aren't integral to the Mario experience, but could add to it if you want to use them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that'd be the best way to handle the DLC. And there's, as we've discussed previously, there's a lot of options when it comes to that sort of thing. And,
yeah.
I mean, it'd be huge for them to add just a whole new, game type that they could play through, like Super Mario Land 2 or whatever, where they sort of introduce that, and it'd be huge. But I don't think they're going to do that. But I'm just saying that's how much potential this has.
I gotta say, I would shell out for a Super Mario Land 2 theme, for sure.
Oh, I would too.
In a second, with the bunny ears and the carrot power. Oh, totally.
That would be so good. Oh
yeah.
Man, I mean, I honestly would probably buy any additional content they add to the game. So actually, this raises a good point. So I've seen just a couple people, really not many at all, but a couple people. I saw one guy on Twitter was like, "GameXplain is completely brainwashed," saying they'd be happy to buy DLC for a Nintendo game or for Mario Maker. I'm like, yeah, I would. I was completely happy. Oh, and they continue on saying because Mario Maker was incomplete. And that's where I disagree. I don't think Mario Maker was incomplete at all.
Not incomplete at all.
I know. So I mean, so I'm coming from this as one who's completely happy with the base value of the game. And as such, I would be happy to pay more for more content. Now, don't get me wrong. If it's free, even better.
Yeah.
With that said, I'm realistic. I know this content costs money to make, and I'm happy to reimburse Nintendo for that cost.
No, everything should be free, and you should get it now, and it should be how you want it.
Right.
That's how things are supposed to work.
That's fair.
Yeah, no, you
that's
shouldn't have to
realistic.
pay them.
No.
Yeah, God.
That's the Splatoon model, because I'm shocked they still haven't done DLC for Splatoon.
I am too.
They're still doing updates.
I mean that's another case where I was totally happy with the base content. However, that is a game where, admittedly, there weren't many stages compared to other games. But in my case, like, I felt like the core gameplay was so unique and so fun, it didn't matter. But the fact that they continue to support that on top of it was amazing. Was fantastic. For free.
Yeah, I was expecting them to sort of like, after they finally got the Rainmaker mode in, it was like, okay, that's it for our free updates. Now from the future on, we're going to do actual DLC. And so, I mean, depending on what Nintendo decides to do with Super Mario Maker, it could just be a series of free updates. We don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't see how us saying that we would buy Nintendo DLC makes us brainwashed. I'll buy DLC from any company if I deem that it is personally worth it to me. You guys know that I bought all the Theater Rhythm Curtain Call DLC, and was probably, it's probably overpriced, but to me, it's worth it. I bought the Sound Shapes DLC too. It doesn't matter whether it's Nintendo or not. If I find DLC personally to be worth it, then I'll shell out for it. If I don't, then I won't. But I don't think the act of buying any company's DLC makes you brainwashed.
Yeah, it's always a value proposition, right?
Exactly. And no one's making you. They're not crooks for releasing the DLC. They're not making you do it. They're not stealing your money. You choose to spend the money.
Right. The only slight complication for Mario Maker, and really may not even be, but is the fact that it would introduce like a slight divide between those who make levels and those who create levels.
Sure.
Because presumably, if you don't, assuming there's even paid DLC, who knows what they're going to do. But assuming there is, people who play the level would presumably be able, who only play levels, would presumably be able to enjoy the DLC that other people are paying for.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, but I can't imagine Nintendo locking people out of levels for DLC they didn't buy. So it would only affect people who actually create levels.
Yeah.
Which might be a little bit of a weird thing. I mean, for me, for me, I'm okay with it. Actually, creating levels is my favorite part about this game. But I can see that being a bit of an odd divide there. So.
And they'd also have to make sure, like, if you don't have the DLC, you wouldn't be able to download the level so you can mess with it yourself,
Oh, that's true. Oh, that's a good
very good
point.
point.
You're right. I didn't even think about that.
So then, that just because of how the game is structured like that, I would think that DLC would have to be free for this game.
Yeah, that might be the case, and
Yeah.
I could see that too. Given Splatoon, it does just continue to make it a platform, right?
Yeah.
It's not a game you play and forget. It's an ongoing thing, and by reintroducing, depending on what DLC, or I keep calling it DLC, but depending on what content they add to the game, like that could it's almost like a re-release, like where it draws renewed attention to the game, much as we've seen with Splatoon to a smaller degree, or even Smash Brothers, which in that case is paid DLC mostly. But each time you see that, you see a resurgence in the attention that game gets.
Yeah.
So if they introduce like a new theme, like a Mario 2 theme, I imagine that it would get a huge blip in at least people playing the game, and maybe a smaller blip in sales.
Yeah.
At least on a temporary basis.
I mean, even if they just update it with okay, here's the desert set, or here's the winter set, that sort of thing, and just across all levels, there you go.
I think you're right. Like just introducing different level themes would be a huge addition to the game.
Yeah, and I do think that we're going to see at least a few more free content updates for blank spots in the game's content, which is exactly what they did with the checkpoints. So I could see that happening at least a few more times.
Mm-hmm. I hope so. I've been a big fan of what they've done so far, and I would love to see more. So the great thing about this game is introducing even a single item can greatly impact with the levels you can create. So I would just love to see just any additional content added. Like we've already seen how checkpoints can change how levels play. So yeah, I'd be happy to see more.
Totally.
Okay, well, I think that wraps up for us here. Thanks, guys, for watching. If you liked our discussion, make sure to like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain. You can find links to them in the description below. And, of course, keep an eye on GameXplain for more on Super Mario Maker and other things gaming as well. All right, thanks, guys. Bye.